there, everybody. It is Dr. Devin, and it is time for another episode of If They Knew. I can't wait. I love these conversations because I never know what's going to come up, but I know that on the other side of the conversation, there is a healthier me, a happier me, a more whole version of me, because you never know what spending a few minutes in conversation with another person, another warrior, another bright-souled human can do to take your life, your love, your experience in this grand adventure to the next level. So if you're ready, it's go time. Hey, everybody, it is Dr. Devin. Welcome to If They Knew. We're doing a little post-event recap of some magical moments that I got to spend in Kansas City in September. It's crazy how fast time flies. And unless you were there, it's going to be hard to recap the full bigness of what we all got to experience. But I would like you to welcome Miss Meli Neubek to If They Knew today.
Hello, friend.
I'm Meli. We got to play before the event. Obviously, we got to play a lot that weekend. And we've had a little bit of time from the event to now. So I can't wait to jump into this with you. But guys, I'll let her tell you a little bit about herself here in a second. But this was the woman behind the curtain. This was the woman. I mean, events don't throw themselves, do they, Meli?
They sure don't.
It's a little chaotic. I mean, it's like throwing a wedding. I mean, all the thing, and organizing the speakers, which, that's a whole different thing. So there's a lot of work. There's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of time and energy that goes into it. And so I just wanted to invite you here to get to hear what your favorite parts were and what you learned and what you see for the future of the movement. But step one, tell us, that little elevator couple of minutes, who are you? Where are you at in the world? And how'd you get into this?
My elevator speech. It's one of my faves. Just that term, the elevator speech. So my name is Meli Neubek, as you said, short for Melissa. So I prefer Meli and Melissa, not so much Mel. I just like to throw that out there for people to know. I'm originally from Boston. I now live in sunny, beautiful Naples, Florida. I've been here going on about 10 years now. Met my husband down here and stayed. I own a photography and videography company. Started first as photography, morphed into videography, and then actually started just kind of naturally morphing into event planning. Started with weddings. And then I always say I'm definitely super creative, of course, and I'm an artist, no question, but I'm just as much entrepreneur businesswoman. I love the business side of things. So, and I really love a good challenge. So when I reach a point in my business or in my life where I'm I can feel the stagnation, I'm all right, what do I got to do next? And especially I'm super driven by my intuition, and I just know when something is for me. I've always been that way. And I think that I didn't know what that was called when I was younger, but now I know that that's just I'm super in tune with that. And I say, this is what I've got to roll with, right? So with Health Freedom for Humanity and the symposium, I got into health freedom because I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease about, I don't know, maybe 12 years ago now. And I listened to what all the doctors had to tell me for the first 5-6 years, had surgeries, hospitalizations. I was on all of the medicines. I mean, it's unfortunately not a unique story, but of course we live within ourselves and in our worlds. And so in my little container, I was wow, this is is this really life? What? And I knew it just was not, something was not right. And one day I remember the doctor telling me I would be on a certain medication for the rest of my life. And that was my fate. And that I just had to basically accept that. And I was yeah, I'm 26 years old and that just doesn't seem right to me. And I'm going to go figure it out. Thank you, but bye. And so I've been on a just crazy journey ever since. And I'm still on it, as we all always are. I literally actually have little bits of stomach pain right now because it comes and it goes. I'm that accustomed to it though, that it's almost a part of my life that one day I look forward to getting rid of. And the health freedom is what's getting me there, that I couldn't do it if I didn't know I had the support of all of these things outside of what we're taught are the only answers. Mm-hmm. But I basically just took control of my own health, and it was super empowering to realize there's this whole world outside of that. So that's how I got involved with it. And then Jody Meschuk, who we got to hear speak at the symposium, she's awesome. She's a friend of mine. She's the one who got me in touch with Health Freedom for Humanity. She knew that I do photos for her. She knew that I do some planning, and she said, hey, do you want to help plan this event? And I was like, yes. And so the rest is history, as they say. And here we are. And it was, like you said, it was magical. By the way, it was in October, not September.
You know, as soon as I said it, I was like, nope, I'm at such a loss for time this year, though. But yes.
You're good. No, you're
of October.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast time. I mean, really, it's only been 20 days. What is today, the 27th? 26th. No, the event was on the 20th. It was the 8th and the 9th. So can you believe that? It's only been like 2.5 weeks.
No, because it already feels like a full year has gone by. I was talking to Brad Campbell and we were just like, how long's it been since we've seen each other? And it's just weird how time is passing right now, especially when you're watching all the things.
Time is not real.
There it is.
It's an illusion. It's an illusion. We had to go there. Just get it out of the way.
But yes, it's not a linear thing. And that is the fun part is what I love about events is that coming together. It is the crossroads of all of our timelines meeting up. And if you had to try and describe the feels of that weekend, I would love to just kind of hear, if you gave the elevator pitch for what was the Health Freedom for Humanity Symposium, how would you describe what we lived through?
Guys, take a deep breath for that one. I think because there was so much anticipation for me, and I truly believe there was a certain level of there was manifestation behind that. There was no accident of how that all turned out. Mm-hmm. We were so intentional on the desire to bring an incredible group of humans together in support of the same cause. And it started there, but we just knew, and actually, I just need to say, and sorry, I tangent, that's just how I roll. But you and I, one of the first things we connected on was Tony Robbins, mm-hmm. because we've both been to his events, and we know the power of how you can leave an event feeling so incredibly empowered. And I'm goosebumps saying it, your life has just changed. I will never forget walking out of the United Center in whatever the hell it's called in Chicago after day 4 of Unleash the Power Within. And I looked at my husband and I was like, I'm sorry, but is the sky's different. Everything's different. We just totally leveled up. You could just feel it. And so it was really intentional from day one that we were to create that for people. And so I think when you go in with that intention, it just happens. So really, when people do ask me about it, it's actually crazy. So that was in Kansas City. I live in Naples, which is as far south as you can go on the west coast of Florida. And some good friends of mine who own a juice shop down the street the other day just said, oh, I was showing my friend your video. And she was like, oh my God, that's Meli. I was there. And I was like, that makes me so happy, because Naples is the smallest little, but no, people see the videos and the pictures and they're like, what the heck is this? And I'm like, really? It was humanity at its core. It was beautiful. It was love. It was so many, it was patience just came to my mind. It was patience and compassion and all of these things that I feel more often than not, you hear out of people's mouths. I wish that I were more patient. I wish that I were more this. And every single person who was there, those 600 to 700 people, exhibited the best of humanity. Mm-hmm. And it started from Alec. Everything starts from the top. We know that strong leadership makes a culture, makes a brand, makes everything. And Alec's way of being really set the tone for not just myself. Yes, I was behind the curtain. Yes, I had a lot to do with planning it, but God almighty, I could not have done it without the incredible committee that came together to make it happen. And like we said, countless hours to put this together. And then, so it starts there, then you've got this committee, then you've got you who just came in the clutch I'm going to freaking run the shit out of this event. Can I swear on this?
Yeah, girl.
Okay,
Yes.
and you just rocked it, to every single speaker showing up in their truest, most just full form. So passionate to speak on and be with. It wasn't just, how many events I've been to where the speaker is like, I'll get there right before I speak. You'll mic me. I'll go on, make sure I've got a water bottle and whatever I need, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
And I mean, any attendee could have walked up to any of our incredible 25, 26 speakers, I think it was, and have a conversation with them almost any time that they were just about and accessible and just being humans together. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful.
It was so beautiful. And the speakers, like, you know, getting to, so I got to MC for like, for anybody that has not followed along on social. And we're going to make sure, I want to play your highlight video and put some pictures up to go with this interview so we can take people into some of those fields. But I loved that. There was no hierarchy. There was no like clickiness or like, I'm coming down from my throne to speak at this event. Right. And it was just like very human stories, very human, tactical and practical tips and resources. And like the doctors panel, can we just like reference that whole, whoa, you talk about a like life will never be the same moment for me. Like I can go right there in my mind wishing that the whole world could sit front row for that doctor panel.
And they will be able to soon enough. I know that we're working on getting like the live stream for sale at some point, and that'll be cool. But I think I told you this at the event, maybe I didn't, but that panel, I want to say it almost got cut twice. And I was like, absolutely not. We cannot cut that panel, because I mean, you're squeezing 25-ish, I should know this number. It was either 25 or 26, but speakers into 2 days. And you've got to give people lunch and dinner, and you've got to give people the time to breathe. And I mean, like, is a lot. And Alec and I went back and forth nitty gritty on that. And by the way, for y'all listening, if you don't know who Alec Zeck is, he is the executive director of Health Freedom for Humanity. He literally created this. We wouldn't have had a symposium with Alec. Mm-hmm. Total powerhouse of a human being. We love him. So we had like 4 versions of that timeline. We're like, oh, can we shift 5 minutes here? Do we shift 5 minutes here? Do we need to do this here? Blah, blah, blah. And a few different times, we were just like, well, if we need a little more time for lunch or whatever it is, we just get rid of the panel. And like, no, like that, you cannot get rid of the panel. And the panel, you guys, was doctors. So we had Just Petros, Dr. Jim Meehan, Dr. Lee Merritt, Dr. Larry Palevsky. I am forgetting somebody.
Carrie Madej
and
Christiane
Northrup. Thank you. Yeah, I knew that they were all MP and like they're all their names.
I couldn't believe they were all on one stage.
I know, it was crazy.
Well, and to hear them answer the questions. And so I unintentionally, this is a very good advertisement to make sure you're staying tuned to HFFH as they release the content, because that in and of itself, like, go to that segment and then soak up the rest. The other, like I'm going to throw out my favorite, and a couple of my favorites. Kevin Jenkins. Holy cow. Like, the guy, I mean, just mic drop, just over and over, getting to see you guys share on Friday morning, and Alec and Allie, anytime Alec and Allie share together, like taking people through generational patterning and healing is just such a special. Emma getting up on stage, reading her poem. What were some of your favorites?
So, when you're running an event, as you know, sometimes you don't even really get to pay attention because you're doing a million things. So, but I will say, we can also segue. I don't know if you want to talk about what happened from the inside to the outside, but I actually completely missed Kevin and Larry because I was dealing with that whole situation. However, at the end of Larry Palevsky's, whose I was really looking forward to, I had been sitting in this room dealing with an issue that we had with the state. And I said, I got to get out of here for a second, clear my head. I'm going to go just like check the room, see how, like, energy check, BRB. And I will never forget walking in that room. And I think he had maybe 10 minutes left to speak. And I got to listen to the last 10 minutes. And I don't think anybody was breathing during Dr. P's speech. I'm like, oh my God, like it feels so good in here, but like the attention. And then as soon as it was done, it was an instant standing O. Every single human in that room stood up, and I was like, all right, the energy's good. We're doing okay.
Yeah.
That was a really special moment to see that level of captivation. Is captivation a word?
Sure it is. It is now.
No, it is. And then Kevin came after him, and I unfortunately missed that one. But I did get to get most of the panel, and I did another second, probably I will never forget this instant goosebumps, was Ben Tapper. I actually got to hang out sitting. I was next to Brad Campbell for both Christian Northrup and Ben Tapper at the end of Saturday night. It was the end of the event. I finally was like, you know what? I think I can sit. I think I can like listen now. Like, what is there to be done? And I hung out with him and Albus, like my favorite dog in the world. We're just sitting and listening, and I'm like soaking it all in. And when Ben Tapper, I mean, first of all, Christiane was just like genius. I love her. But when Ben Tapper's voice resonated, like when it was bouncing off of the cement walls all around us, I was like, I turned to Brad and I was like, is this not like the most epic thing? I mean, you remember that man, first of all, just hearing him speak, I don't care if I was listening to him in a freaking, parking lot or like the drive-through at I don't even know. And I can't even think of a good place, but it does not matter. But where we were, and it was like the perfect culmination of what happened. So should we just get into what happened real quick?
Yeah, I was going to say, to rewind, and I want to highlight something that you said about if you don't know Dr. Pilevsky, go follow him on preferably Telegram so you can get the full goodness of who he is. But that was at the end of the first day, like 10 hours in, right? So when you're talking about a captive audience, we've all been to events. I've been to Tony, I've been to things, and they're long days. It's rare that you got like everybody, and this was heavy stuff, right? And he laid it out. So I wanted to highlight that, but where Meli was just referencing, so I got to just keep the show on the road, so to speak. And I didn't know what was going on, but I looked out the window to look for Meli, and there's a little huddle with a man in a mask talking about some city ordinances that they weren't super happy about. So yes, and actually like afternoon, day one, you guys started dealing with some issues.
Yes. So first of all, I just want to speak on one more thing about Dr. P is that that speaks right back to Alec. We all have gifts. We all have our own specific gifts. I don't know exactly what this one falls under, but Alec's gift for knowing exactly who needed to speak when. I mean, he was so clear on that from like day one. He's like, this is what I want to end with. This is going to go here, blah, blah, blah. And then of course we ended up shifting some things here and there, but for the most part, he knew putting your Dr. P at the end of that day and Kevin and then Christiane and Ben was just going to just crush it. It was amazing. So guys, here's what happened. I'll give you the elevator speech version. Going into this event, Kansas City had a mask mandate or ordinance, whatever, in effect until October 7th. Our event started October 8th. We knew all along there's a chance it get extended. That was like the third time it had been extended. Now, as far as this ordinance goes, for those of you who are health freedom peeps, which if you're watching this, you probably are, you know probably that an ordinance is not law. And so federal law should actually supersede an ordinance or whatever the case may be. So we had those conversations ahead of time, many times with the convention center, with the appropriate people saying, hey, you guys understand like our organization stands for health freedom. And so we understand that you have to have your signs up. That's fine. But you have to understand that we also have to honor people's exemptions. We have to honor, and that whole conversation happened several times with multiple people. And basically at the end of it, what happened was, there was an assistant general manager there who just told me, hey, listen, Meli, we've had events where people don't wear masks. Like sometimes some of our union employees may say that they don't feel safe and they need to leave or whatever, but like, we're not going to like kick anybody out. Like it's fine. Like, we're not going to like stop the event.
Yeah.
Wait, but wait, because that's what you did.
Right.
So on Friday, so the event is Friday and Saturday. Friday, he comes to me, he called me, texted me. I went and met him at 4:30. And he said, hey, the health department received 2 anonymous complaints. And you guys have to put masks on. And I have enough masks for you all. I can bring them over. And I'm just, mind you, I'm on like 3 hours of sleep. And also I'm like, bro, we've been here. We've been at this conversation. And like, that's just, it's not going to fly. Like, that's not going to, We have our signs up stating that we know the law. Like, you guys, by the way, this ordinance stated that it encouraged mask use, did not require it. It encouraged it. Be essential with your languaging, my people. If you're going to tell people to do something, tell them to do it, I guess. But still, you have to honor the law ultimately. So I joke that I turned into a paralegal because the next 4.5 hours of my life, I was typing away with our awesome lawyer who was on site and a couple of legal experts, Robert Michael, Jeff Weitzman, a few other people in and out. And we wrote this like 5-page document, sent it off to the state, stating like why we were not in breach of contract, et cetera, et cetera. And then at 10:30 or 11 that night, I got an email saying, the doors will be locked tomorrow morning. Your event is not allowed. You're not allowed back in. And I was like, I called Alec and I was like, like forwarded the email to the lawyer and et cetera. And I was like, so what are we doing? Cause we always had discussed a plan B where we're like, we'll end up outside. We'll figure that out. There are parks a 15-20 minute walk away. There's this one, what's going to be the best play. We never thought we'd be able to use the park across the street because that park across the street, had a sign that said private property, which is a little confusing because it's actually part of the convention center. It's like owned by the city. Mm-hmm. And we figured if the city just kicked us out of their building, why on earth would they let us use their outdoor space? But they let us use their outdoor space. So
yeah,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish. Cause I watching this play out and hearing the inner workings of it are like, it's such a perspective of all of it, and watching how it was handled is so important to highlight.
So like I mentioned, I own a photography company first and foremost. So my team was on site doing photo and video. And part of what we were going to be doing was on Saturday, if we had still been inside like we would have been, we were going to be showing a highlight reel of Friday's photos. So this is something that I do when I do events. So I was up late. That's why I got that email, and I was editing photos, preparing them for the next day. Or actually I was offloading my memory card, and I got that email and I was like, well, that's not priority anymore. We've got to shift and figure that out. And then I remember turning to my husband and saying, I was already on 3 hours of sleep today. It's been like a 15-hour day or whatever. I've got to get sleep. That's the most important thing right now. I've got to be fresh in the morning. So woke up, got over there at like 6:15. I was hoping to be the first person there, but one of our committee members, Becky, she called me. She's like, there are signs on the door. I was like, I know, I'm on my way. And so basically the assistant GM came over and I was named in the attorney's letter saying that I said that people wouldn't wear a mask, which honestly like annoyed me because I was like, first of all, I'm not 600 adults like mom. I can't speak on their behalf. So I don't even know why that's relevant. But because we had a lawyer present, they were being like real, like, oh, we can't really say much. You've got to talk to the health department, whatever. But I just looked at him and I said, hey, listen, I know that you think we're like trying to like trick you or something, but we're really not. You're about to have 600 passionate people on the side of your street. Like, is that what you want? What are we to do here? What do you really think? We're still going to have our event. So how does that happen? And I got to be honest, the way that our contractors activated, like our AV team, our security team, for the most part, our food people, they still made it happen. I was impressed at how flexible they were willing to be. So there was that, but the actual center itself, doors were locked and we weren't allowed in, and all our stuff was in there. And
the vendors, there were signs on the door, guys, that said the event was canceled. So my phone starts blowing up. I'm staying across the street from the convention center, and we're like on the 13th floor or something. And I'm looking down, I can see the whole thing playing out. And I'm like, of course. And you get like goosebumps and giggles because it's like, well, yeah, like this is sure. We need to live in our truth, right? Now comes the test. Now comes the like, let's see what you're made of. And so I'm getting my stuff ready for the day and going, all right, like I know they had plan Bs. We were talking with Kansas for Health Freedom, different like options. And I just remember walking up and there was one person that was trying to do a live on social media and get loud and angry, right? Of like, we won't be starting to rate. And Alec grabbed the mic and was like, no, just no. And nipped it so fast and was like, we will be peaceful. We will be respectful. Like, that's not who Health Freedom for Humanity is. Like, we're just going to go over here and we'll adapt and it's all good. I mean, the way he nipped the negative energy was probably one of my favorite moments. because it was like a Martin Luther King type energy, right? Where it was like, we will stand in the face of what is wrong, but we will not be violent. We will not be angry. We will not, like, we can be peaceful rebels, right? So the start time's 8:30 and I'm the MC. And one of my gigs is like, I got to keep time, right? Like we got to keep the time so we can keep the show on the road. I'm looking down, they're throwing up speakers and the microphones are moving over. We started 8:35. And I'm like, holy cow. We just migrated hundreds of people up a set of stairs, and it went from convention center container to Woodstock Festival. And the weather, it was supposed to be like over 90s, sunny, super hot. We got a little bit of wind. We got some cloud coverage. Mother Nature was looking out for us. And I honestly think, it forced the speakers to serve without PowerPoints. It tested the elements, but it allowed babies and kids and blankets and dogs and the sun and the birds. Like, it was magical.
It was so magical. I looked at the birds so many times. The birds might have been one of my highlights. I was like, damn. And they must like that section because it's like a natural quadrangle of buildings, and there's got to be something about the wind. I don't know, but it was so wonderful. And I'm so glad you said the time thing, because like as the event planner, I don't identify as an event planner as like my identity or anything, but as that having been the responsibility, and when it is your responsibility, and as an MC too. Yeah, like unless you're Tony Robbins and you damn well know from the very beginning you're not going to get out on time, that's just like a thing. Like they tell you that's fine. But like if we have this thing down to a T, man, I want this thing to go like it's supposed to go. And the fact that it did was, I got to be honest, I was proud of that.
Well, and that's how you're in the flow, not creating the flow, right? Like there were so many challenges and obstacles, but to like realize like the universe had our back every freaking step of the way. And to accommodate 25 speakers and sponsors and lunch breaks, and to host 2 very full days and have the engagement that we did. And can we talk about Jimmy Levy? Can we talk about the dance party that we got to have? Oh, and how much do you love him?
I love him. He's legitimately a teddy bear.
He is. And he's so what, and the power in his words, right? Like throat chakra activation, for us to go from, we started the day on Friday with welcome everybody. Oh, what's that? We're breaking the matrix. Everybody busts into dance party. And then literally we broke the matrix, come into all day Saturday. And then he finishes Saturday night with that again, outside with the lights in the background. How did it feel bringing it to a close, in a big bow, and knowing like, man, we did the damn thing.
Literally goosebumps again right now. It was unbelievable. I honestly feel like I said this to Alec, I don't think I've ever been so proud to be a part of something outside of something that I created, because I am a creator, because I am, like I said, that entrepreneur. I have done many jobs and things for others in the past, and that's a big part of what motivated me to be and do my own thing. But I've not been so inspired and moved to be a part of something else since I've been doing my own thing, which has been the better part of a decade now. So to feel that connected to something, and then to have the honor to help create it in the way that I did, and then to see the intentionality come, like even down to the Jimmy Levy, the breaking the matrix, like bookends. I didn't know what Jimmy was going to do, how many songs he was going to sing, or anything else. The only thing I knew was that was going to happen. I knew it. And you know why that was really powerful for him too, which I thought was so freaking cool. He really is a teddy bear. He's not a like rah in your face performer. He's not. He's the first one to tell you that. So when I told him that that's how we were kicking off Friday, he's like, I'm not really like the, and I was like, I know, that's why we're going to be on stage with you. We're going to amp you up. I thought the stage was going to fall. That's actually honestly one of my favorite moments. Originally, I had not intended that everybody was going to get on stage, but they did. And so I was like, okay, here we are. And I'll also never forget turning and looking, and Brad Campbell, I asked him if he knew how nervous he looked. And he was like, no. And I was like, oh, you looked nervous. When I looked over, I was like, I think the stage is maybe not going to be well.
Boeing. Yes. Yeah. Oh, it was.
But then to see Jimmy, dude, he went from saying, I'm not this like performer type, to 20 minutes before he went on stage on Saturday night, he texted me. And I don't remember exactly what it said. I could look it up, but it said like, hey, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask everybody to like put their lights on so we get this huge like thing and blah, blah, blah. It turned into him owning that opportunity in that moment. And it was just to see that transformation in not even 48 hours was like, it was so beautiful.
Well, and the number one thing I've heard from attendees or from Jimmy or different speakers is like, there's this feeling that we're all alone, right? Like the isolation that we've all encountered, even the extra, like all of us have encountered in our own pockets. Like this was a coming together, but it was also like just confirmation, like we're on the right path. Like we were cared for, tended to every step of the way. If you could give a nod to any advice, I guess, for anybody out there planning an event or like trying to put something together in the face of today's challenges, what would your advice be?
Preparation is more than half the battle. I always say that. And so I would say that's 1. 2, do not go at it alone. There's no reason to, and you can't do it alone. You cannot. And so those are 2 big ones. And then I would say the third one is making sure that it is worth it to you. Not because, I don't know, someone told you it'd be a good thing for you to do, or it seems like maybe a good idea, or because the money's right, or whatever myriad reasons exist as to why you might do a thing. If it does not feel right, you're already set up to fail. You're not prepared for what's going to come your way. I promise. So you just don't do a thing if the thing is not for you. And if you don't know how the hell to know if the thing is for you, then do some work on that intuition. Learn to trust yourself and just start.
If you have to ask, it's probably not. Right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
You and I have talked about this, and Meli's going to be coming on to help me with the big idea 2022.
Cannot freaking wait.
Because it's like, that's something, it's not easy. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of effort. But when it's for you, it doesn't get quiet. It gets louder. If you're like, no, I don't want to do that thing. That's a lot of work. I just want to like shelf it. And then intuition and that innate voice is like, no, I need you. And it just like pulls you like a magnet in. Right.
100%.
What do you see for 2022? Like in all the fields, I know you guys are looking at March, right?
I think so. Yeah, that's something that, so it's so funny because sometimes I talk about this event with people and I'm like, hour, blah, 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 an hour. And I'm like, I keep saying hour and I'm like, I'm technically not employed by HFFH. Like I am technically not a part of the organization. I mean, that's a beautiful thing that Alec has made with it, where it's like, anybody can be a part of it. So like, yes, I know that I am, but like, I don't make decisions per se. Like I'm like, put me in, coach. I'm like waiting and ready for the next thing. And I don't know what exactly that looks like. I know that, dude, I mean, HFFH is not even a year old. They've been around since January. And the grassroots effort right now, which you and I are both involved in our own states, that's a big focus for me right now. I had a great meeting with my co-lead this morning. We have so many ideas of what we're going to be doing. Just making sure that we're spreading far and wide as much as possible to get this message out there. That's the most important thing, I truly think, right now. So who knows what the March event looks like or when it will be or where, but I see the symposium being annual. I don't see why it wouldn't be. That's what it should be like. And then I hope to see another event or 2 sprinkled in there. And then that's from an HFFH standpoint. From a Meli and Devin standpoint, the big idea.
Sky's the limit. And that's my favorite. I mean, I keep saying that, but like, that's my favorite thing, is the way following your intuition or going where you're called weaves you together with your soul tribe. That hashtag is my favorite from all the pictures and post event. Was like, everyone was like, this was like coming home. These are my brothers. These are my sisters. These are my people. Like, I'm not alone. We can do this. And that is such a restoration. and such light in the dark.
I love it. It's so
You were there
beautiful.
with your hubby, you were there with your team, you were there with your mom. How important is it to have your people there with you for things like this?
I didn't know how important because Matt, my husband is Matt, and Matt and I tend to do a lot of things together. He's my person. And so, you tend to take your person for granted sometimes. So you're just so accustomed to having them.
Mm-hmm.
And in our photography business, Matt and I photograph weddings together. And that's one thing that we really love to do together. And then we do some other photography as well. And then Carlos, our videographer, he does a lot of weddings and stuff with us too. So I'm used to having him in a work capacity, but I'm used to having the camera in my hand for even the weddings that I've planned. I still find myself shooting for part of it because I do it that way. That's just that's how but for this, I was like, I'm not going to be able to do that, I don't think. And I wanted to be fully present for the planning portion of it. And so I'm so blessed to have an incredible, just like networking group of people that is my tribe, my family. I have people that I can call on who I know will be there for me. And Lisa joined the team for me that weekend. One of my good friends who's huge into health freedom as well. And she's put me on to some of those speakers before I even knew who they were, the speakers who we had there. And so and she does photography as well. And so I said, hey, I'd love to have you shoot with me that weekend, please. And then my mom, just when she started seeing what I was doing, she's like, I'm coming. And she's like, can I be VIP? I love my mom. She's so cute. And so I didn't know how important it was to have them there. Besides doing the actual job, that part I knew was important. But I actually think I'm glad you mentioned my mom, because out of the corner of my eye, I would just catch her here and there. And I'd be like, that's nice.
Mm.
It's just nice that she's there. She's holding space for me, probably without even knowing that she was, which was something I was very grateful for. So yeah, it was awesome.
All the you get to take it back home too, right? Because like that's the hard part of events, when you go and you get blasted apart and then you got to come back home and come down from the energy. And it's like, but you weren't there. Like you can't describe those things. And you guys are going to get to see it with the virtual event. But the reason I ask that is, if you're going to go do something, the answer is no if you don't ask. So ask your friends, ask your family, hey, do you want to go to this thing? Don't assume that they don't want to go. And if you are a doctor, if you are a business owner, if you have a project, take your people, because like they can't learn from an experience they don't have. And you go further if you don't go alone, right?
100%. Love that. Couldn't have said it better myself.
So I want to know, just rapid fire, and then we're gonna toggle onward in our busy days, because I know we both we wear a lot of hats, we do a lot of things. Favorite speaker and I know you didn't get to hear everybody, but if you just pick one, not even from their share at the symposium, but like, who would you pick if you're like, you got to go follow along with so and so?
I think I would first go Alec.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, Alec has a way of communicating that really has the ability to touch a wide spectrum of people. And I just resonate a lot with what Alec has to say, generally speaking. So I would say Alec is probably first. And then I would say second, because I think it's worth it from like a health standpoint to maybe choose a health related person. I really like how Brad Campbell breaks things down. It's not anybody who can just hop on consistently and give 7 to 10 minute snippets of things that hit you. And like, there's a beginning and a middle and an end. And then I told him, I said, honest to God, if I get on a live and Albus isn't there, I don't watch.
I know.
So if you guys don't know who Brad Campbell is, his dog is really where it's at. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think when I started following him, I mean, he like blew up with his following, like, just the last couple of months. But what first originally drew me to him was those shorter snippet videos, because I don't have the time to always like listen to a podcast or whatever the case may be. And I liked the way that he presented that, and his memes are hilarious. So
he's the funniest person in the health freedom movement on social, like the health assurance movement. Yeah, he's fantastic.
And then the saxophone, which I didn't even know was coming.
Right, guys,
Yeah.
he played the saxophone. Here comes this guy with the cutest dog you've ever seen, and super funny on social. And he just walks up and plays
The saxophone.
yeah, and gets
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
Can I say one more thing real quick about my team? I just have to. I have to shout out Erica, who's one of my just dearest friends, and she came as a volunteer. And I knew she was coming as a volunteer, and I knew from the very beginning that she wanted to be involved in that way. But she went so above and beyond. I was like, dude, you like kept the sanity that you kept, like, for me to be able to help me do what I had to do. I just got to give her a shout out. Yeah. Anyway, move on.
No, it's important because, like, I think that people are like, how do you have the energy to do that? How do you get up there and go accomplish these things? And it's like, because I got a lot of people who got my back.
Yeah, 100%.
And allow me that space. So who do you wish you would have got to hear, or who wasn't on the itinerary that you think should be for 2022?
Okay, who wasn't there, who I think I would love to see? Lori Ladd. I love Lori Ladd.
And Phil Good. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I think Lori Ladd for me was like top. I already thought about that. I've thought a little bit about who I would like to see next time. So that she was like a no-brainer. I love astrology, and I think like Oracle of Your Soul, whose name is like totally escaping me right now. Danielle Page would be great. Either of them. Great. And then I would say I was bummed that I didn't get to really experience Andrew Genevieve's breath work. Yes. So I would definitely like to experience that. And I would say of all the speakers that I missed them all really, but I've got to say Kevin. I've just heard so much good, like you said, all the mic drops. So I'm so looking forward to, it's been 2.5 weeks and I have access to the live stream and I have not watched any of it. I just haven't had the time. So I look forward to it.
Now, going back to you and how we opened. So we'll close the container with this one, as far as like you overcoming your own health journey, right? The health freedom movement isn't something that we do. It's something that we have to embody, right? It's a truth that we've actually lived. It's us putting our own broken pieces together. It's us doing the work, eating the good foods, doing the meditations, doing the work. And that's how we become a part of this space. What's the one thing you wish more people knew about health, or that gave you the courage to jump off the train that you were on, the medicines, the surgeries? What's the thing you wish more people knew to get on a different path?
That they are capable, that to whoever's listening, you are fully capable to care for yourself, to know when something is wrong without someone having to tell you. It really, I'm at the point now where it's like when someone says to me like, oh, I feel this way and I'm just waiting for blood work to figure out what's wrong. Or, I'm waiting for someone else. I've given my power to someone else so that they can tell me about me. And I'm getting goosebumps. I don't always have the answer about what's actually quote unquote wrong with me, but I don't need someone to tell me that there's something awry. And there's not always an answer in a test tube. There's not always an answer on a piece of paper. Like, you just have to figure that out and do the work. People don't want to do the work. You got to do the work.
Yeah, we may not have the label, the disease label, but we always know when there's dis-ease in the system, right?
Yes, 100%.
And when people get that and then take the responsibility to do something about it, like, that's the world you and I are fighting for, right? Of heroes, not victims, of healthy, happy, vibrant versus sick and suffering. And
amen, sister.
That's why it doesn't matter how many hours it takes, y'all. We are going to throw some big ass amazing parties in 2022. Now,
hell yeah.
For people that want to, maybe they need a photographer or videographer or event planner, how do they get a hold of you, Miss Meli?
I am at Meli Neubek. That's MELINEUBEK. That's N as in Nancy, E-U, B as in boy, E-K. I've said that a few times. Meli Neubek on Instagram. And I'm also meli@neubek.com. Easy enough. Hit me up. I'm always available. I'm so grateful for you. So grateful for the health freedom community. I cannot wait to see how it continues to grow. And I freaking love you.
I freaking love you too. And get in this grassroots with us, guys. I'm helping get the Kansas chapter going. Sounds like you're running,
Florida, baby. Mm-hmm.
We're in 24 states. So that's the count I've last heard. So if you guys feel called to this at all, please reach out to one of us. If we can support you in any way, or you have any questions about getting tapped into the material from the symposium, reach out and get ready, because you are capable. I love that. I love that anchor. I appreciate your time. I'll see you soon, sister.
I love you.
Patty, go have a beautiful day.
Bye, you too.
Well, all right. So what's the one thing? What's the one thing that just lit up for you in this episode of If They Knew? Because it is one thing to listen or watch or feel your way through these conversations. And it is a whole different thing to grab a hold of something and turn it into action. It is a whole different thing to fire it and wire it and use it to create the health, to create the happiness, to create the life that you know is possible for you. And that's my highest hope here, my friends. So what's the one thing? What's the one thing you learned that you didn't know? What's the one thing that you can take and apply right here, right now? And maybe it's not for you. Maybe the reason that you tuned in today is so that you could share it on to somebody else. Maybe there's a friend or a family member or a coworker, and throughout this episode you thought, she needs to hear this, or, oh my gosh, this would really help him. Share it, right? That is how we weave together this tapestry of light and hope and power and potential beyond our wildest dreams, because we have a choice in how we engage in these wild times, my friends. And for me, I choose healing. I choose growing. I choose thriving. I choose the light. And you must too, or you wouldn't be here. So I hope that I get to meet you and hug you and see you at the Big Idea 2022. So make sure you check the description to mark your calendars for that. And if you can't wait till April of 2022 and you want to come play with a community like this, like the episode you just got to watch, then you need to join Shine. That is the community space, the playground, the training ground that we have created. If you want to be a part of a revolution of the light workers, the truth seekers that take responsibility for their health, that step into the if it is to be, it's up to me mentality and grit, well, Shine is for you. So I'm here for you. I love you. I can't wait till the next episode. Please, if you have any requests or I can support you in any way, engage in the comments, shoot me a message. This is it, y'all. This is the time. We were born for such a time as this. I love you. I'll see you soon.